Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one. The introduction. In the early hours of a chilly November morning in 1996, the small town of Willow Creek lay wrapped in a stillness that belied the horror soon to unfold. Nestled between low-lying hills and dense woodlands, it was a community where doors remained unlocked and neighbors knew one another by name. But within this facade of safety, darkness lurked just beneath the surface. The sun had yet to rise when local police received a call reporting a fire at the Peterson family home. Flames danced wildly against the inky sky, illuminating the silhouettes of nearby trees, casting an eerie glow over the scene. First responders arrived minutes later, but what they found was a disturbing tableau. The house, although engulfed in flames, had not succumbed completely. As firefighters battled the blaze, they discovered a body inside the lifeless form of 17-year-old Sarah Peterson. As paramedics carried her charred remains into the light, the community began to awaken, drawn on by the sirens and smoke that billowed into the dawn sky. Whispers erupted among neighbors. Sarah was a bright student, beloved by all, destined for greatness. Questions surfaced rapidly. How could this happen in their town? And who would want to harm a child so full of life? With fire extinguished, but the truth yet smoldering, Willow Creek was thrust into an investigation that would expose secrets hidden in plain sight. Law enforcement adapted to the weight of responsibility, their task growing ever more complex with each passing hour. For the citizens, the comforting illusion of safety shattered, leaving them to confront a chilling reality. A killer walked among them. As the sun rose higher, illuminating the scars of the night, the hunt for answers was only beginning. The victim, Sarah Peterson, was a name that echoed through the halls of Willow Creek High like an anthem of youth and promise. An honor student and a fixture in the school's debate team, she embodied determination and charm. Teachers praised her work ethic, and classmates revered her infectious laughter. But beyond her bright smile was a complex tapestry of dreams, fears, and aspirations that few could truly comprehend. On a typical October afternoon, the soft autumn sun streaming through the classroom windows framed Sarah deep in concentration as she flipped through pages of classic literature. Her passion for writing had blossomed, manifested in her desire to publish a novel one day. Many believed she was on a path to greatness, her name potentially destined to grace book covers stacked in bookstores. Yet, Sarah held close the diary of her thoughts, each entry a raw reflection of the struggles she faced, the pressure to excel, the weight of expectations, the loneliness of isolation among her peers. Outside of school, Sarah found solace in her close-knit circle of friends. Sleepovers filled with whispered secrets and laughter punctuated their adolescence, a sanctuary to escape the trials of teenage life. Yet even here, shadows lingered. Privately, she battled feelings of inadequacy and the pangs of unrequited love that tangled in her heart. The boy she admired from afar seemed unattainable, their worlds drifting parallel like two stars that would never collide. As investigators began unraveling her complex life, they found mounting evidence of her internal struggles, a collection of journal entries spilled forth her thoughts on suffocating expectations and her yearning for acceptance. Friends recounted the warmth and kindness she exuded, yet admitted they never fully grasped the burden she carried alone. Amid the swirling disbelief at the tragedy of her loss, Sarah Peterson emerged as more than a victim. She became a poignant symbol of unspoken battles and the fragility of life that all too often remained hidden until it was too late. The search for justice would not only seek to unmask her killer, but also to illuminate the depths of a life so full of potential, now cruelly extinguished. The crime scene. The air was thick with acrid smoke as investigators stepped onto the property that had once been the Peterson family's warm abode. Now, charred remains transformed the familiar landscape into a haunting scene, laden with the oppressive aura of disbelief. What was supposed to be a sanctuary had devolved into a canvas of despair, where laughter and love were replaced by the bitter scent of ash and ruin. Detective Laura Bennett, a seasoned investigator with a calm demeanor, surveyed the wreckage before her. The fire had ravaged the home, but the remnants still whispered secrets, details that could unravel the truth behind Sarah's tragic fate. As she donned her gloves, knees bending to the charred floorboards, she was acutely aware of the weight of expectation resting upon her shoulders. Clearing her mind, she began examining the remains of the living room walls, blackened and peeling. Furniture reduced to nothing more than a scattered assortment of gooey ash. Nearby, fire marshals combed through the debris, sifting through remnants with careful precision. They were looking for the cause of the fire, but also for any clues that might tell them more about Sarah's final moment. A quick glance at Sarah's belongings confirmed the panic that had gripped the house during its last living breaths. Scattered books, one half opened, pages stained with soot and fire. An object caught Detective Bennett's eye amid the wreckage, a small, glittering pendant that had slipped from the necklace Sarah usually wore, now tarnished but unmistakably precious. As the sun climbed higher, illuminating the horror, the team stumbled upon something even more chilling. Beneath the charred remains of the staircase lay a collection of photographs bound by nothing but a rubber band, their surfaces warped and thin. As Bennett gently separated them, she began to understand the deep roots of turmoil. With each image unfolded, a broader story emerged: friends, laughter, and those lingering moments tinged with an unspoken tension. Who held the power to shatter such innocence? The fire department declared the cause of the blaze undetermined, but Detective Bennett felt an urgency to dig deeper. Was this a tragic accident or something infinitely darker? It formed in her stomach as she knew the answer lay amidst the ashes, and it wouldn't be long before the innocence of Willow Creek was forever altered. The early investigation. As twilight painted the sky in shades of deep blue and violet, Detective Laura Bennett gathered with her team in the cramped confines of their makeshift command center. A bright yellow school bus turned into an impromptu hub for the investigation. Notebooks were spread across tables like battle maps, filled with scribbled notes and ideas as frantic and chaotic as the unfolding events. Bennett, resolve steeled by the knowledge of the task ahead, looked each investigator in the eye as a new urgency filled the air. All right, folks, we need to start working through Sarah's life, her friends, her school, her family. With every word, Bennett sensed the collective weight of their mission pressing down. Someone here knows something, and we have to find it. The first line of inquiry led them to Willow Creek High School, a place buzzing with whispers and volleyball practices as students clamored through hallways. They began interviewing classmates, seeking clues beneath layers of adolescent innocence. In the expansive cafeteria, one girl stood out. Melissa Green, Sarah's best friend. Her face was pale, a haunting reminder of what the community had lost. As the two sat across from each other in a quiet corner, Bennett observed the raw vulnerability etched on Melissa's face. "I just can't believe she's gone," Melissa murmured, tears pooling in her eyes. "She was so full of life, we planned everything." Bennett leaned in, her voice turning soft. "Did Sarah ever mention feeling scared or threatened? Anyone she was worried about?" The look on Melissa's face shifted to something akin to realization, and she hesitated, biting her lip. "She mentioned someone, a boy." Bennett's pen flew across the page. She didn't share details. "Just once at a sleepover. Said he was always watching her." The revelation sparked a flicker of urgency in Bennett's chest. "I don't think she knew it." Melissa's voice faltered, the weight of the unknown now too heavy to bear. That fractured sentence hovered in the air, a thread of darkness woven through Sarah's vibrant life, and Bennett knew it was time to dig deep. A name would emerge from the shadows, and when it did, it would lead them closer to unearthing not just Sarah's story, but the dark secrets lurking beneath Willow Creek's peaceful facade. It was a clue, a thread, and it was all they had. The dead ends. Days turned into a week, and the picturesque streets of Willow Creek transformed under the weight of lingering grief and unease. The once vibrant community now wore a heavy cloak of suspicion. People exchanged furtive glances, whispered gossip circulating as thick as the chill of early winter. Detective Laura Bennett pressed on, fueled by the fragmented hopes of uncovering the truth. But the investigation quickly began to tangle like a web of smoke and mirrors. With Melissa Green's lead lingering in the air, the team focused their efforts on identifying the boy who had haunted Sarah. After tracking down several acquaintances, promising connections and potential sightings seemed to lead nowhere. Most information turned stale quickly. Either they didn't recall any specific individual or shrugged it off, considering it just a mere figment of teenage imagination. In one exasperating encounter after another, they found dead end. A boy named Kyle, who had allegedly been spotted loitering near Sarah's home days before the fire, became their primary suspect. When they finally tracked him down, his demeanor was nervous, but harmless. "I just wanted to say hi," he claimed, eyes darting nervously as they questioned him in a cafe just off Main Street. "She seemed cool." Bennett pushed on, trying to sift through the layers of uncertainty. But she mentioned feeling uncomfortable with someone watching her. "Did you ever talk with her?" His answers grew evasive, and Bennett could see the cracks appear in his bravado. "I swear I didn't mean to scare her. I just thought she was pretty." After an hour of back and forth, nothing seemed to provide substance. Frustrated, Bennett watched as Kyle departed with a pall of confusion and innocence cloaking him. He left them with no concrete evidence and no direct connection to Sarah's fate. Throughout the week, they combed through dozens of interviews, retrieving little more than vague impressions of Sarah's life outside her home. Each answer felt increasingly hollow, a chorus of "I don't know" and "I can't remember." The haunting truth was becoming clear. The further they searched, the more elusive the truth seemed to become. As Bennett stared at the array of notes in front of her, the mounting evidence of their struggles coiled tightly around. There was a depth to Sarah's world, layers she had yet to penetrate. The threads she'd hoped would lead to clarity continued to tighten, each one shadowed by despair. In the dark recesses of Willow Creek, a web spun deeper, and time was slipping away. They needed something more, a breakthrough that remained maddeningly out of reach. A break in the case. It was a dreary Tuesday morning when a break in the case materialized, not from the depths of the investigation, but from the unlikeliest of sources. The air had turned crisp, a sharp reminder that winter was looming. Bennett sat in the command center, her eyes scanning piles of documents and witness statements, struggling to piece together the puzzle that was Sarah's life. Just as doubt began to claw at her resolve, a phone call from Officer Ryan Mitchell shattered her spiral. "Detective Bennett, you need to see Thiz, you won't believe it," he said, urgency threading through his shaky voice. Bennett rushed to meet him, her heart racing as she felt the weight of anticipation. Officer Mitchell was huddled over a cluttered desk in the corner of the center. A grainy photograph prominently displayed on the screen. "Look at this," he directed, pointing at the surveillance footage from a local gas station that had been collected merely as a routine check. As she squinted at the image, recognition flared within her. It was a figure slender, hooded, and unmistakably familiar. The timestamp revealed the individual had been near Sarah's home, moments before the fire erupted. "That's him!" she exclaimed, heart pounding. "But who is he?" With renewed energy, Bennett leaned into the image, the blurry face beginning to draw a sharper outline in her mind. Focusing on the clothing distinctive and worn, she felt an instinctively familiar tug at the fringes of her memory. "We need to find out who was wearing that hoodie," she urged Mitchell. After canvassing the community and cross-referencing the image, a name emerged. Alex Reynolds, a dropout and known troublemaker frequently seen in the periphery of local gatherings. He fit the profile of the looming figure, but more importantly, he had a contentious history with several students at Willow Creek High, Sarah included. As Bennett prepared to head out for a background check, she felt a flicker of hope igniting in her chest. Could this lead finally be the key they had spent so many days pursuing? There was a sense of urgency now, for with Alex Reynolds in their sights, they had a potential suspect. The not yet slain threads of Sarah were beginning to unfurl, revealing the beginning of something that might finally illuminate the darkness enveloping Willow Creek. And with one name, Bennett felt a resurgence of determination. This fragile glimmer of hope was no longer just about solving a crime. It was about honoring Sarah Peterson and bringing her story back to light. The investigation was at a pivotal threshold, and they would pursue Alex's truth with relentless tenacity. The suspect. The sun hung low as Detective Laura Bennett approached the dilapidated house at the end of Main Street. The overgrown weeds and peeling paint, and a history shrouded in disrepute. This was the home of Alex Reynolds, the name that had permeated their investigation, now echoing in Bennett's mind with an unsettling magnitude. She felt the weight of expectation settle upon her shoulders as she stepped onto the worn porch, the floorboards creaking underfoot like warnings from the past. As she knocked on the door, a dull yet resounding thud echoed through the silence before an uncertain face appeared. The boy was lean and scrappy, his dark hair layered under a well-worn cap that tilted slightly askew. There were dark circles under his eyes, a reflection of late nights and bad decisions. But as he met Bennett's gaze, a glint of defiance shone through. "What do you want?" he mumbled, voice low and tinged with annoyance. "Alex Reynolds," Bennett stated, her voice steady, projecting authority. "We need to talk about Sarah Peterson." The mention of Sarah's name sent a flicker of surprise, followed by immediate resistance across Alex's face. "I don't know anything," he snapped, crossing his arms defensively. Bennett could sense the guardedness, the walls he had built around himself. "I wasn't even there." With practiced ease, Bennett stepped forward, maintaining eye contact, her expression unwavering. "We have video evidence putting you close to her home right before the fire. You should be aware it's a serious situation and it would be in your best interest to cooperate." His bravado began to wane. "Whatever you think I did, I didn't. You've been known to have issues with Sarah." "Let's discuss that," she pressed, her heart racing as she leaned into his discomfort. Panic flashed in his eyes, quickly shifting to sullen resignation. "Yeah, I knew her, but I wasn't the one stalking her or whatever." He flinched slightly, the words sounding hollow even to him. Bennett took a breath, leaning in just slightly. "Why did she feel that way? Did you ever say something to her? Do you know anyone who might have been serious about hurting?" The additional pressure pierced through his defenses, revealing cracks. "People talk, okay? But listen, I wasn't the one who hurt her. I just wanted her to notice me. Not like that freaky dude from school." A sudden sense of dread washed over Bennett. The hint of another suspect resurfaced, and she pushed further. "You have to help me understand what you mean by freaky dude." Alex swallowed hard. "His name is Scott Reynolds. He's kind of obsessed with some of the girls at school, Sarah included. I didn't think he was serious. He always seemed off." The contours of the investigation shifted. Scott Reynolds, a name now tethered to both Alex and this twisted fate, was suddenly thrust into the spotlight. Bennett felt a knot form in her stomach. Was Alex a mere pawn in a darker game unfolding? Or did he have more ties to Sarah's tragic conclusion than he was willing to admit? As she stepped away from the front porch, Bennett's mind raced with new possibility. Once again, they had unearthed a tangled connection that might lead them further into the heart of the mystery, and hopefully closer to justice for Sarah Peterson. But the path was fraught with dangers, unseen yet palpable, as the shadows deepened around Willow Creek. The trial. The courtroom stood as a stark monument to the pain that had reverberated through Willow Creek's small community since the tragic night of Sarah Peterson's death. Families, friends, and residents filed into the wooden pews, finding their places in a hushed anticipation that thickened the air. The day had finally come, and justice was on the brink of unfolding for the girl they had loved and lost too soon. Detective Laura Bennett sat in the front row, heart pounding as she prepared to witness the culmination of countless hours of investigation and heartbreak. The atmosphere was charged, a palpable mixture of sorrow and hope tangling like smoke in the air. At the center of the room, a table showcased evidence, photographs, witness statements, and the now infamous surveillance footage of Alex Reynolds near the Peterson home. The defense attorney, a well-dressed man whose presence seemed as unyielding as polished marble, stood to present his argument. Members of the jury, the evidence laid before you is circumstantial at best. My client, Alex Reynolds, may have been near the Peterson residence that night, but proximity does not equate to guilt. There is no proof he committed any crime against Sarah. Bennett shifted in her seat, frustration boiling beneath the surface. The story of Sarah's life wasn't merely a set of numbers or coincidences. It was a tapestry saturated with emotion and consequence. We know Alex had motivations rooted in obsession and jealousy, and we will demonstrate that they culminated in the tragic event of Sarah Peterson's untimely death. The truth lies far deeper than coincidental encounters. We'll show you evidence of Alex's troubled past and provide testimony from those who knew him. As the trial unfolded, witnesses came forth, each adding threads to the fabric of the case. Friends shared memories, illuminating the dichotomy of Sarah's bright existence against the swirling shadows that churned around her. Melissa Green, tears streaming down her face, recalled fears they had kept hidden. The unknown threats, the unsettling feelings of being watched, and the names that floated like ghosts among their conversation. But it was the testimony from a new witness, Scott Reynolds, that ignited a fervor in the courtroom. His eyes darted nervously under the intense scrutiny of the jury, revealing a thin veneer of carefully constructed bravado. I only talked to Alex a few times. He seemed obsessed with Sarah, but I didn't think he would actually hurt her. His voice trembled, revealing the conflict within a mind torn between guilt and self-preservation. Bennett watched as the jury absorbed the words, the realization sinking in that relationships among the suspects were as tangled as the complex narrative woven between Sarah's life and her tragic end. As the trial progressed, unseen alliances revealed themselves, spinning a web that connected both Alex and Scott more than anyone had initially understood. Tensions rose. Common threads began to unravel, and what once appeared straightforward turned into a labyrinthine notion of guilt and innocence. With each testimony, Bennett felt the weight of her pursuit tighten around her. There would be no quick resolution, no guaranteed closure. Yet as the gavel raised and fell, signaling the start of the closing arguments, she deepened her focus. For Sarah, for the echoes of laughter that now masked a somber reality, the truth had to emerge. In that moment, she understood that no amount of secret keeping could withhold the light. Ultimately, justice would claw its way to the surface. The trial was merely the next step in a long journey toward unveiling Sarah's full story. And as day turned to dusk, one tragic truth remained. The heartache of Willow Creek would continue until every thread was pulled and every dark corner illuminated. The aftermath. The verdict had been delivered, and with it, a heavy silence enveloped the courtroom, its gravity palpable. As the judge's words reverberated through the air, Detective Laura Bennett felt an ache settle deep within her chest. Alex Reynolds was found guilty of manslaughter in the death of Sarah Peterson. The courtroom shifted, shadows cascading across the faces of those affected by the harrowing tale. Outside, the world continued to turn, oblivious to the scars left in the wake of that fateful night. Families of both Alex and Sarah stood on opposite sides of a cleaved reality. Sarah's parents, lost in the discord of grief, clung to each other as they faced the media. Their daughter's name, once a sweet melody in the minds of countless acquaintances, now became a symbol of injustice they desperately sought to redefine within their shattered lives. In the ensuing months, the town of Willow Creek began to piece itself back together, but the echoes of Sarah's absence lingered, subtly changing the fabric of daily existence. Bennett had devoted herself entirely to uncovering the truth, yet even she felt the heaviness that saturated the air. It was more than just unresolved grief. The truths unveiled a tangle of obsession, jealousy, and unchecked violence remained fresh, haunting the lives left behind. Support groups emerged, fostering a dialogue about the undercurrents of anxiety that had plagued so many within the community. Melissa Green, Sarah's closest friend, transformed her profound loss into advocacy. She organized events aimed at promoting mental health awareness and publicly confronting the issues that had led to Sarah's tragedy. The pink ribbons that fluttered at each event were a reminder, and the community bound together, refusing to let Sarah's story become nothing more than a fleeting memory. Bennett continued to work diligently within the department, understanding that her role did not conclude with a guilty verdict. Criminal behavior didn't exist in isolation. It thrived within a spectrum. She instituted workshops for students at Willow Creek High, where she spoke candidly about the nuances of relationships, friendship, love, and the darker shades of obsession that often flew under the radar. Despite the pain embedded in their paths, Bennett was determined to break the cycle, reminding students of the power they held in defining their relationships. "Don't ignore the signs," she urged. "Speak out. Reach out. Together, we can change the narrative." Seasons shifted, and as the town weathered renewed storms, a subtle resilience emerged. Memorials sprang up, the community uniting around Sarah's legacy while acknowledging the shameful truths they had allowed to linger. Yet the battle was far from over. They faced the enduring scars with grit. With each passing day, Willow Creek grew stronger, slowly unraveling the remnants of sorrow. But beneath that burgeoning sense of recovery lay an undeniable truth. Loss had forever altered them. Each person was transformed, threaded together by shared grief that crystallized into a vow of commitment to protect, to love boldly, and to nurture one another. As Bennett gazed out at the newly formed community gatherings, musings on a path untrodden filled her mind. Healing was not linear, nor was it simple, but the strength of togetherness burgeoned in the face of darkness. There was hope yet, intricately woven through the loss, painting a lingering promise that while Sarah Peterson's life had been cut short, her spiritual story would echo through the hearts of those left behind, guiding them toward a brighter future. Reflection. As Detective Laura Bennett watched the community of Willow Creek transform in the aftermath of tragedy, she often found herself reflecting on the delicate threads of life intertwined with the human heart. Sarah Peterson's story had left an indelible mark and echo of loss that resonated with every resident. In the quiet moments, she pondered the moments they often overlooked. The laughter shared, the glances exchanged, the intentions behind unspoken words. Bennett understood now more than ever that the face of justice doesn't simply arrive in the form of a courtroom verdict. It blossoms in the lingering memories and stories told in hushed voices. Sitting on her porch one crisp evening, she thumbed through a collection of Sarah's writings that had been given to her by Melissa Green. With each entry, she breathed in the essence of a young woman bursting with passion and dreams, now robbed of a future. She realized that the pursuit of justice was not just about the facts laid bare, but also about healing the collective wounds of the community, about honoring lives lost, and striving to build a protective enclave for future generations. The aftershocks of their grief were steeped in the resolve to ensure that such darkness would never envelop Willow Creek again. While the past remained, each person could find strength in solidarity. The sunlight streamed through the trees that surrounded her home, casting gentle shadows that danced across the grass, an invitation to reflect, to remember. And together, they would weave a new narrative founded on compassion, understanding, and resilience.